This is starting the video now, and this is a tutorial on how to create a topographic map utilizing SURPAC, GEOVIA SURPAC. Right now this is SURPAC itself, but first you gotta start with your data you already have. So this is your CSV file that you should start with. It will look something like this. If it doesn't, if it only has just the station ID column, the northing, the easting, and the elevation, that's fine. You can add that. You'll just, right click and insert your columns. Now, very important thing at this stage is making sure that your stuff is plotted correctly, especially your dates right here, as if the date is not done right, it will not process in SURPAC correctly. So to do that, you want to make sure you have all of the dates highlighted, bring it out to this, and make sure it's this style of date right here. So year dash month dash day. It'll look like this. This is survey points from my lab last year when I did it. Next thing that's important is these code/levels. This will help during the SURPAC coding part and stuff to identify stuff. So you'll have CP, which is your control points, and my group, when we did it, we labeled the points we were taking TOPO. In future references, we discovered that it was a lot better to name things as where it was. It made it a lot easier for SURPAC processing, so in the future I'd suggest you do that. Next is these station types. Since it was GPS and it was all on the surface, your station type should be surface throughout the whole thing. Finally, this is what it looks like. You're going to save it. Now, a very important thing while you're doing this stuff is that you have a file open and you know where it saves to. During all of this, will always have mine saved to my S drive. So on this, it'll look like your username and then minor files, yada, yada, yada. On SURPAC, it'll look like this. It'll look like this little S with the awkward face. I don't know. S:\\. But we'll go here. Now, another very important thing is when you're accessing your labs and your folders, you want to make sure that you double click on this or right click and set as work directory. That'll make this little green check mark appear on that folder. That means that is your working folder. So anything you do in SURPAC will automatically be saved to that working folder. So now that we have the CSV file in the correct formatting and the working folder open, we will go to survey database. We'll do new open. I'll bring this over here so you can see it. It'll say database name. I just did a cleanup for the lab, so we'll name this lab 6 instructions. And we'll click apply. Now you'll click apply again until you get to this screen. Yours should automatically set up to access. Make sure you're not using access, as that no longer works with the SURPAC we're using. You're going to be wanting to be using Paradox 5.0. After you get there, you'll get to click through apply a couple times. You'll get to a thing like this. This will just basically define how it'll get your values from your CSV file. This nulls just means that there is going to be areas that have zeros. Don't click on that, as that'll get you errors when you bring it out. And this just sort of means that, we don't have a station FR, no Z-floor, none of this stuff. That's why there's nulls in that, versus here where we do have a station ID, a date stamp, a level area, your YXZ, so that's going to be your northing, your easting, your elevation, and then station type, and that's the surface. That's in your CSV file. You'll click apply there, and you'll see a database right here pop up inside your working folder. And you'll also see an extra. I have an extra one that just popped up as well because I had a database in this folder open already. From there, you'll go back to survey database to import data. And then you'll get this open right here. I already have it named, Lab 6 instructions for your format and your report. You could name it so that your format file has a different name. So Lab 6 format and Lab 6 report. Make sure that while you're naming all these things, it's names that you'll remember while you're working on it and continuing through the project, just so you don't ever lose your spots. And you'll click apply, confirm creation of new format file, apply, and then you'll come to this screen here. You have the option here to exclude styles or not. That is something that's for later on stuff. It's optional right now on this lab, but I'm not going to exclude it just because it's something I've had before. Here it comes to this. You'll click apply again, and you'll get to this screen. This screen's important. It shows your maximum allowed errors during your load. That is basically telling you when SURPAC pulls all of the data from your CSV file, the maximum amount of times that there can be a problem inside your CSV file is 50 times. After that, it'll stop trying to pull data from it. But this whole screen, or this whole tab right here, is basically just importing your values in, and you'll see how I have group 1 lab 6-1 CSV. That is the one I just edited the dates on. We'll click open there. See how it's under survey stations and not styles. Survey stations will put the points in for us then. It knows what it's pulling from then. And you'll do that. You'll get a screen like this. When you load yours in, it should have this here. 330 records were inserted, 0 records were updated, and 1 record was rejected. That means that I had 330 points I had inside of that CSV file. That 1 record that was rejected is going to be this row right here, the station ID, the date stamp, the code level, the northern, easting, elevation, surface type. So if you did it like this, you will have 1 rejected record. That's why we have an allowable amount of records that will be rejected. Besides that, you see how it just sort of, and you can see it right here as well, is that Y is not a numeric X. That is just telling you that you had 1 row in here that was not put into your data values. So we'll get rid of that, and we now have a full report in here. From there, you're able to go to survey, and then what I like to do at the start of survey is go to survey, to stations, and then to display stations from the database. You'll get this one to pop up. I don't really care to change for the colors right now, so I'll just click apply, and then apply again, and if it gives it a second, there's all of my stations. You could see that the plots out here, this is the control points. You could see the error that the GPS had as these were placed to control points, and then also they were the GPS taking control points. And I'm pretty sure this is from before Tagi had fixed the control point errors going from US foot to international foot. But this is just how it's going to be displayed for just your station points. And you can sort of see that elevations there and the changes. So that's sort of what your good data will look like for the most part. You can see the ridge here that we took a lot of points on. But we're able to go from there then. You'll go back to survey again, and then to reports, and you'll go to string file of stations. And then, by the way, I don't think I showed this earlier, but if you right click on this dashboard, and you go to profiles and you go to survey, that's how you get all these extra buttons I have right here. I'll make sure to leave something at the beginning or something else, or edit something in so it can see that, but this whole area, this bottom row right here really, and this row right here is all from changing this to survey or adding that profile. Back to what I was doing, this one you'll have to name, so you'll be making a string. A string is, well, you'll see what a string is in a second, but it basically connects all of your points. Let's call this lab instructions. Makes that a little better. And then you'll see that press apply again. You can see it's generating a string file for us. It'll take a second. Shouldn't be that long though. Now you see the string file right here. It's sort of got that rainbow. You can drag that out onto the field and notice how it connects all of those stations together. Now from here, to process the data, what you'll need to do is you'll be using this button right here, this function. This is break string segment. So that'll break these, and you don't want any strings overlapping in your design. When we made our design last year, we went all around the muck site and took a lot of arbitrary points, and that caused a lot of this crossovers as it's going in the order that the points were generated, not in any normal like thought process way. And then you'll also be using this button right here, and this is connect segments or connect points to a string. Basically that works by, you could click on the end of a segment and a point. You can click on two floating points and connect them together. You can connect two strings together, so two lines have this, connect that as well. But the one thing it cannot do is, here, wait. If we have this string connected here and these are both the ends, it will not be able to close it, as this is just a connector. It does not close it, which is fine for us right now as we're just trying to clean this up, make it look fairly methodical and everything else. And when I did this part, I like to get rid of these control points over here just because we're creating a DTM of the muck site, or a topographic map of the muck site, not of this part over here. So I actually already did this part to clean it up just to save time, and I put it in another one. So I'm going to pull that file out and put in my newly created ones. But yeah, no, and so this will get a generally uncut view of it. You'll have hopefully no overlying lines, no intersections. And from here you can go to surfaces, create DTM from layer. You have object ID, object name. You can go to apply. And there's your DTM of the muck site. You can press save then to save the layer. Get this save file right here. File name would be, go to this. Yeah, we will do the save. Name it there, and then you can, none of this really matters for now. It should be all. You'll just reset that then, and you can drag this out then. Now here's our little thing of the muck site. You can see where we put the track stand right there, as we got points on that. And then, as I said earlier, that's the little bench seating area that we have. Now you can go to surfaces, and then contouring, and you can do contour DTM file. You'll choose your DTM, and then you'll choose the name then for this string. So let's call this lab. Lab instructions contouring. And then you can see the minimum elevation and the maximum elevation. We're gonna have a contour interval of 1, so that is every 1 foot there will be a contour line. And you can sort of see all this right here. Press apply. You can drag this out then, and you can see the contour map of the muck site. And now that is elevation at every 1 foot. There's a line. You should have known that from class or not. I don't know for sure if you've covered it yet. But we can clear this layer off again and just have our contour intervals. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this contour file as I did not do that correctly. We'll be doing surfaces, contouring again, as it was earlier, contour DTM file. Bring this over here, the lab instructions DTM, lab instructions contouring, and you'll click this checkbox right here, and then we call this lab instructions index, and this will help with having your index strings, and you will set this index value to 5. This will make it so it's every 5 then, hopefully. Apply. And we can drag both of them out then. We'll show you the index first, and there's every 5 feet then, and this is every 1 foot. So having both out will give you a very, very fun look. This will give you a very minute scale of the mine versus this give you a lot more in-depth version of it. But when you're going on a total map scale, this is a lot of information, having every 1 foot versus every 5 feet. We'll have this one then. We'll go to edit now, string, we'll go to smooth. We'll change this to number of lines per segment to 10. And we'll have this smoothing set to spline. That'll just make it a lot smoother, make no harsh angles then. And then we can save this. Right here and have it so it replaces our previous contour file. So now if we reset the graphics, we can drag this out and notice how it's still curved then. We'll be taking the index out, and you'll be edit string, and you'll do exactly the same thing as you did with the other one. Number of lines per segment. We'll get rid of that string range 1 and the segment range 10 and spline, and apply. And then we'll save this, and we'll have it replace it as well. Yes. And now that we have this all set up, we can go and we can drag our contouring one out. Now we have our contouring, we can go to edit and then to string again and go to renumber range. And for this part, we will go string range from 1 to 100 and to set this to 3. This is what he wants in his lab. And this will make all of our 1 foot intervals this color. That string range is our coloring. And now we will save this, apply, yes. This just makes it a lot easier in the end when you're making a proper map to actually see the points that are of actual interest and not just the individual contours. And you can take this out for the index as well. So we have the 3 here, and we'll do the same, except instead of 3, we will be doing a different color. We will be doing 1 to 100, and we'll be setting this to 2. And this string range 2 is the color that it's choosing. So this is a darker blue. So if we drag both of these out at the same time, it will be a light blue and a darker blue for it. So for every 1 foot, you'll have a light blue line, and for every 10 feet, you'll have a dark blue line. And now we can also go to that index one again. Take this out, go to display, string properties, and click on this, on the string itself. We can go to line properties. You'll see this tab pop up then, and then change our thickness to 2. And that'll just make it a lot easier to see this on the map. We'll save this then. And then we can bring the other one back out again. And it is significantly easier to tell the difference between your 5-foot intervals and your 1-foot intervals. I will do a different video on printing, or I will show that during the lab, as this video has gone long enough. In this video, we were able to cover a lot of the really basic stuff into SURPAC, like importing. Later on, I covered the profiles in the dashboard, creating databases, and a lot of the other just simple processing stuff, especially your CSV file, because if something is wrong with your CSV file, that is probably the first thing that is going to cause everything in SURPAC to go wrong. So always make sure when you're uploading that your CSV file is labeled correctly, done correctly, and you should run into a lot less problems in the future.